It's August 1st, and that means the 2024 comprehensive team rankings have been finalized. The Rivals comprehensive team rankings include elements of the high school team rankings and the transfer team rankings. It counts the 25 highest rated players, whether they're high school prospects or transfer prospects, and you can find the full breakdown on rivals.com. Right now, I'm joined by Jed May of UGAsports.com to break down Georgia's #3 finish in the Rivals 2024 comprehensive team rankings. Jed, thanks for jumping on here with me. I appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Glad to be here.
Good stuff. Well, Georgia's #3 overall ranking in the comprehensive team rankings is powered by their #1 ranked high school recruiting class, right? But they did have some really important transfers come in. They did only finish with the number 64 transfer class, but 4 of them were 4 stars, and it was led by Trevor Etienne, the #2 ranked running back in the transfer portal rankings, coming over from rival Florida. What can you tell me about Trevor Etienne's, his fit in this offense and the way that he's just really gelled with this team so far?
Yeah, he certainly brings that home run ability. Kirby Smart knows him very well from his time at Florida, and that's kind of his MO. He likes to go after guys who Georgia has played against and/or recruited. Dominic Lovett fits that mold. Just other guys in this recruiting class do as well. And with Georgia losing Kendall Milton and Dejon Edwards last year, it's obviously you need to bring in more numbers, but he brings a dimension that guys on the roster don't really have. Roderick Robinson is a pounder. So is Branson Robinson, and your freshmen are obviously freshmen, right? So they're a little bit unproven. So it's a huge pickup, and he is a guy who, like I said, is going to get a lot of carries probably from day one.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I'm sure they're going to work him pretty hard on the offense there. They like to grind the ball, right? But they also have another big time transfer, a highly publicized one, even if he may not see the field a whole lot this year, in Jaden Rashada, number 90 overall in the transfer prospect rankings, coming over from Arizona State, where he got a lot of run last year, a former Florida commit, Miami commit. There's obviously the lawsuits and all of that are playing out. Some fun drama to follow, but how has it been for him since he's arrived in Athens?
Yeah, from everything we've heard, he's saying and doing all the right things. As far as obviously he is not playing significant minutes this year, barring an injury or anything like that. This is all about going forward in his career, developing, and he'll be right in the thick of that quarterback competition next spring when Carson Beck heads off to the NFL. It's going to be really interesting to see how Kirby Smart kind of divvies up garbage time reps, so to speak, this fall, because you've got Gunnar Stockton on the roster as well. Ryan Puglisi is a freshman. Do you give him any reps? It's going to be interesting. And in practice, too, who gets most of the 2 reps, the 3 reps? How does that split up? Does anybody work with the ones at all? That's going to be a fascinating juggling act for Kirby Smart throughout the fall.
Definitely. Yeah. I mean, it sounds like he made a very calculated decision going to a team where he'd be able to sit in a system, learn for a year, get some reps, and then just be ready to go next
Mhm.
season in that 2025 season, right?
Yep, absolutely. And again, that's what you got to have a succession plan in place. If you're Kirby Smart, in between Rashada, Stockton, and Puglisi, you've got a trio of pretty good options to compete for the job next spring.
Sure. And there's always, Georgia's always going to be a player for transfer prospects,
Mhm.
right?
Yep, absolutely.
Big time receiver too, Colby Young, coming over from Miami, number 109 in the transfer rankings, and London Humphreys coming over from Vanderbilt, a number 128 in the final transfer rankings. I want to touch on the #1 high school, #1 high school recruiting class for Georgia for a minute. A lot of these guys are already on campus and making waves. Ellis Robinson, a 5-star, Joseph Jonah Ajanye, Justin Williams, KJ Bolden, all 5 stars for this #1 class. Who has done a really good job just making an early impression on the coaching staff since practice started?
Yeah, Ellis Robinson, no surprise, right? He's the all everything corner. It wouldn't shock me to see him get some playing time, especially towards the back half of the year. Whether it's because of injuries or just he's a guy that's too good to keep off the field. KJ Bolden as well has done a good job early on. Offensively, Jaden Riddell. I remember when Jaden Riddell showed up at bowl practice, and you're like, who is that guy? He is huge. He is an absolute specimen at tight end, and Georgia's kind of not in trouble. I guess inexperienced. Maybe they don't have a ton of guys with a ton of reps, So maybe Jaden Riddell works his way in. Who knows? And then I think Chris Cole and Justin Williams are two guys at linebacker who everybody knows what Georgia's done at inside linebacker over the past, 4, 5, 6 years, whatever. Those are two guys who impressed in the spring and are going to, like CJ Allen and Raylan Wilson last year, maybe they find themselves thrown into the fire at some point this fall.
Yeah, it'll be really interesting to see how the defensive line prospects really come along in this Georgia defense. Nnamdi Aboko, Nasir Johnson, Justin Green, Quintavious Johnson, and like I mentioned, Jonah Janye. These guys are really high ceiling prospects, massive guys, but really good athletes. And it's been pretty hard for young guys to get a lot of run on that Georgia defensive front. But these guys, some of them are pretty special, and there's going to be a lot of I guess a lot of turnover after this season on that defensive front. So it'll be interesting to see who gets a lot of reps during the season and garbage time, like you mentioned, or at the very least runs with the number ones or twos in practice. Yeah.
Yeah, and with the defensive line, especially, Georgia. I actually wrote a story about this the other day. Georgia doesn't necessarily have the same game records that they had a couple years ago. Good players, but not necessarily the Jalen Carters of the world. Could Joseph Jonah-Janye be that guy? Could Nasir Johnson be that guy? They're very high on him. Maybe not this year, but this is a year that, when you interview these guys 3 or 4 years down the line, they say, "Oh man, my time on the scout team was huge. The garbage time reps I got my first year were huge." So this could lay the foundation for what could be on the defensive line for Georgia the next 2, 3 years.
Very good. All right. Well, that is Jed May of UGASports breaking down Georgia's number 3 class in the comprehensive team rankings. Again, finishing number 3 with the number 1 high school class and the number 64 transfer class. Please make sure to give Jed a follow on Twitter and on all of his social media channels, and certainly check out all of his content on UGAsports.com. I'm rankings director and transfer portal analyst Adam Friedman. Please remember to subscribe to the Rivals.com YouTube channel and follow all of the Rival social media accounts. And of course, you can find all of our content on Rivals.com. Thanks a lot, Jed.
Yep.